Welcome to Trip Notes, a New Zealand Herald travel podcast brought to you by House of Travel, Better Together. I'm Stephanie Holmes. I'm the travel editor for the New Zealand Herald. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm about to introduce our special guest, who I'm very excited about. But first, I just want to tell you about a competition we've got. You can be in to win a $2,000 House of Travel voucher. All you need to do is listen out for a keyword that I'll drop in at some point in the episode. Not going to tell you when. You have to keep listening. And once you have that keyword, you can go to nzherald.co.nz/win and you can be in to win there, and you can find all the terms and conditions and all that stuff. But anyway, more excitingly, I want to introduce our special guests. They are all over your TV and media at the moment. They're two smart, funny, well-travelled women. And the most eligible bachelorettes in New Zealand.
I don't know how that happened.
Lesina and Lily from the Bachelorette New Zealand. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks.
Good.
That's awesome.
Thank you so much.
What's the key word?
Oh, I'll tell you later. Yeah. I'll tell you what.
I'll listen out.
If you tell me who you pick at the end of the season, I'll tell you what the keyword
I like
is.
it.
No? Okay.
Yeah.
So thank you for coming along. I know that not only are you on our TVs with The Bachelorette at the moment, but you're also both really well-travelled women. So I'm really excited to hear about some of your favourite places and things that you like, things that you don't like. Just off the top of your head, can you think of one of the first places you ever went to?
I went to the States when I was young.
You were born there, weren't you?
But I was there for a year, so
Okay.
I don't know anything about
count.
it. But we went, when I was like 11 or 12, I remember. And it was my first massive trip overseas.
What part of the States did you go
We went to LA and went to Disneyland and
Nice.
did that whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Lily?
I spent a few years living in Cambodia when I was a kid. So I
Wow.
was like 6, 7, 8.
Yeah.
My dad used to be a civil engineer and he was working for the United Nations. So he went over there to build bridges and roads and things like that. So me, my mum and my brother and my dad lived in Cambodia, a few different places. And
What was that like?
awesome.
Yeah.
It was cool. I'd come home from school every day and grab like a half deflated soccer ball and take my little dog out on the street with all the kids and just throw the ball for hours and hours and hours. And no one could speak English. I couldn't speak their language.
Yeah.
But I'd just be dirty and naked and loving it. It was awesome.
Have you been back since you lived there as a
I
kid?
haven't been back, but I actually plan on going hopefully sometime this year. I know a lot of tourists do the whole, partying and things over there. We
Yeah.
did it a little bit more locally because
Yeah.
we live there, but I'd love to go see more of it as an adult now.
Yeah. Because you grew up in Australia, is that right?
Yeah, I was born in Australia.
Yeah. What part were you in?
So I was just north of Byron Bay, just south of the Gold Coast, a little
Nice.
beach town called Casuarina Beach.
Yeah.
But haven't lived there for about 7, 8 years now.
Yeah.
But a beautiful place to grow up.
Did you feel like it was quite a culture shock when you were a kid, or do you think just as a kid you're just so resilient and you don't really think about anything different?
That was the coolest thing. I think being a kid, you have such an open mind and you can just be thrown into any situation and you're completely versatile. So I feel like it actually made me, coming back home from that after a few years, it made me kind of appreciate the simple things in life. I think it was actually a really good thing for me and my upbringing personally.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
And obviously we've seen so far in The Bachelorette that you guys have been in Argentina.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That just looked amazing experience.
Yeah, it was amazing. It
One
was
thing
really
I was wondering, when you're on the plane, or the guys were on the plane over, and you two weren't anywhere to be seen. Were you up in business class?
We
Oh,
weren't
no,
on the
they
same
were-
flight.
Yeah.
No, we were on different flights. Although Art Green did do a fantastic job of upgrading us to premium economy.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I was very happy being in the peasant economy class, but apparently Art Green has in his contract that he has to fly premium economy.
stick with
Therefore,
that.
we had to join him, which wasn't the worst gig.
Yeah.
Especially when, I don't know if you have watched the episode, but with all the boys in economy, and they're all like crammed in, but also they're chanting, Argentina.
Oh, I know. Can you imagine all the passengers around them?
There was this old couple right in front of them. I felt so
right.
sorry for them. Imagine being on that plane.
I was like, how would they not know that's a show? I feel like that was really, it was a bit of a
It
giveaway.
might look like a soccer team.
Yeah,
Or
maybe.
a rugby team. Well, not a rugby. Yeah. Maybe maybe cricket. Look like a cricket team.
So did you get a chance to explore Argentina away from the filming side of things, or not too much?
myself, Lesina and Art got one day on the first night we got there. We went to a bar, we went for a walk around. But apart from that, we were pretty full on. We were 7 days a week, kind of go. But we got to see a lot of it on our dates, which was cool. But Art had a lot more downtime than we did. And he was like sending us selfies of him doing all these cool activities. And we're like, damn it, we're busy finding love.
Yeah. And is it a cool city? It looks pretty cool. Buenos Aires.
It's so beautiful. It's kind of like a little bit derelict. Like it looks a bit run down and weathered, but in a beautiful way. And there's, power lines and that old white cream building. I don't know, like stucco kind of. But it's just really pretty.
It's beautiful. It has like a 70% unemployment rate within the people there. Yeah. So you see extreme riches, like these beautiful buildings and these people with a lot of money. And then you see obviously the poverty end of the spectrum, which is interesting. You have cities like LA that are just like that. It's a really interesting way to live. You have like a woman with her children on a mattress on the street, whereas and then there's businessmen who are walking around to their penthouse apartments and things. So it's an interesting contrast, but beautiful city, a lot of history there. I didn't really realize it was going to be like that, but it was beautiful.
Yeah. And Lesina, so your parents are Samoan and Trinidadian, is that right?
Yeah.
Have you been to both of those
I have.
places?
I've been both, They met in Samoa, but I've been to Samoa quite a few times. And I've been to Trinidad quite a few times as well.
Okay.
They're really, do you know what, they're really different and kind of the same in a way as well. They've both got that island vibe, but Trinidad's quite a bit more built up in terms of economy and just infrastructure. And Samoa's obviously a lot more laid back. Yeah. But very different cultures, really cool cities. I like them both, really. Yeah.
And with that, and obviously you were born in the USA and you've lived in Australia as well. Like, do you feel, like, where do you feel like home? Like, do you have a home? Definitely New Zealand.
100%. Yeah. No, New Zealand was home. I've lived here 30 whatever years. Yeah. But I think I had in me that I wanted to live outside of New Zealand for a little while. I've traveled so much, but just live for a few years. Yeah. But I would always, my idea would be to come back home to settle. Is that what everyone does? Is that what every Kiwi does?
I think
feel
so,
like everyone goes and spreads their roots and then comes back home to kind of nest and settle down. And that's what I would do as well.
Yeah, because I grew up in the UK and then I moved here kind of accidentally. I just came on holiday and then never went back. And I feel like that's the way it goes. Like, Brits will come over here and never go back, whereas Kiwis will go to the UK and do their couple of years, and then when they're ready to settle down, they'll come back here. It's a nice place to live.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So all the key words for like a settled life, I guess. Like safe and environmentally friendly and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
What kind of travel do you both like to do? If you were gonna just go off on a holiday, what kind of thing would you do, Lily?
I like to travel by myself. I've been traveling by myself since I was 17. When I first finished school, I moved to Japan by myself and started working there. I've done a lot more like working travel where I've got visas to places, become a part of the community. That's kind of a really cool way for me to do it. Stay there like, 8 months or whatever. But usually I'll just chuck on a backpack, book a flight a week before I go. And the less planning, the better, in my opinion, because every time I try to book something, I always end up missing it. I miss my boats, I miss my flights, because I just find a different option or something more fun. You meet people along the way, you're open to different things. And the less I plan, usually the better of a trip I have. But just nice and simple. I like it to be hot. I like to be able to, wear no shoes and hire a dirt bike and do some questionable things. But stuff like that. Just simple things. Not having a lot of plans. I usually find that. And the more time, the better, in my opinion. I love to have like a month to do something. Yeah. So and in that, would you try and see as much as possible, or would you like really do a deep dive into one place? I think it depends how the trip takes you. For me, I usually meet people and, I'll join them on their little trip, stay with them for 5 days and be like, hey, okay, on to the next place. I don't like to rush. I don't like to be like, okay, I've got to go and do this and get this done and whatever, because then I feel like you don't actually take the time to enjoy everything and really sink your teeth into it. So I never have like a schedule or a timeline, places I need to be by certain times. I just kind of go with the flow, and sometimes that ends up me seeing more, sometimes it's me seeing less. I think when I after Treasure Island, I got my backpack and I went to Thailand by myself, just like booked it for the next weekend and was like, let's go. And I ended up just hopping around the islands and coming back to an island that I really liked and kind of spent a month in the same kind of area. But I felt like I made some really cool friends and really got to see like all of it, and not just the touristy things. Like I got to meet locals and see all the little like pockets that you wouldn't usually see if you were rushed.
Yeah.
So I like to take my time.
Yeah. What do you have any tips for meeting people when you're traveling by yourself? Because I know I can sometimes just feel a bit shy and not want to go up to a group of people if I'm by myself. But do you have that problem as well?
Hostels.
Okay.
They're the best thing. The more people in the room, the better.
Yeah.
I remember one night, this dude was in my hostel. His whole butthole, I don't know if I can say the word ass, was out, and that is the terrible part of hostels, is you have to live with other people who are disgusting, but you meet the coolest people. I remember I met this dentist who was like, 36, just gone through a massive divorce, and you meet people from all walks of life that you would never really usually, sit down and have a beer with in real life. And you just end up, I think, developing all these different personal skills, meeting people like that.
Yeah.
It pushes you out of your comfort zone. So for me, hostels, a lot of people say they're unsafe, but I've never really had an experience that wasn't safe in them. And also going to bars and talking to people is a good idea, going out and doing activities. And I feel like when you travel, you kind of have to just be a little bit more open, a little bit more positive, and just you kind of attract the right people that way.
Yeah. What about you, Lesina? What kind of travel do you like to do?
I like to do a bit of everything. I like a really multifaceted type of travel, I guess. And it depends what I'm going for. If I'm working hard and then I just need a break and it's that kind of a holiday, then it will be a purely relaxing kind of like party
Bali
holiday. Yeah. Bali. If I want to explore, then I'll book longer and I'll do it properly, and I'll, have things that I want to kind of see and historic places that I want to visit, and so I'm super varied in how I travel, and sometimes all in one trip as well. So it can be like partly educational and partly relaxing and partly fun and partly adventure, which I think makes for a fun trip. But yeah, I like to do a lot of different things.
Yeah. What are some of your favourite destinations that you've been to?
I love Peru.
Yeah.
Yeah. I spent a lot of time there, and I think it has everything that I was saying. It has the adventure, and then it has the history, and it has party and fun and good food. And I really like Portugal. I didn't mention Trinidad before, but Trinidad's really cool. It's a little bit dangerous.
Yeah.
But no one goes to Trinidad really. But I would really recommend it. It's a massive culture shock, even for me, and I've been to so many different, same as you probably. It was a massive culture shock for me, and nothing really.
In what way? What was different about it?
It's like you can feel the city trying to survive. I don't know how else to explain that, but there's such a happy kind of resilient people, but their economy in there, and especially with the drugs coming in from Venezuela, that everything is really crumbling. But it's like the people are trying to survive. And it's just an interesting like dichotomy, I think.
Yeah. Do you still have family there? Or?
Yeah. My mum's side of the family is still there.
Yeah. That must make it a bit easier to travel, or like easier to kind of understand the place if you've got family there rather than just going in as a tourist.
Yeah, exactly. You get definitely a different, like a, insider view when you're not doing the tourist things.
Yeah. And what about some places in Peru that you would recommend people go to?
I'm super biased because I stayed in this area, but it just depends what you want out of Peru, really. Obviously, I'd say go to Cusco and do Machu Picchu because it's just, as much as, it sounds like a touristy thing, it really is one of those like moments. Like the Vatican, I'd say. Have you been to the Vatican?
Yeah.
Did you get that feeling? Oh, you didn't get it?
I just found it, there were so many people.
There were,
and just, I don't know, I think it would be just so amazing if you could get to walk through it by yourself, which obviously you're never going to do. But
same as Machu Picchu, you kind of have to tune out the people. But I had those moments, like twice in my life, travel moments, where you're just like, wow. So I had it in the Vatican, and then I had it at Machu Picchu. Yeah. And you're standing there, and it's surreal. You're in mountains. Yeah. This is old, historic, like burial ground or ancient ruins, I guess. But not okay. So Machu Picchu, but in Peru, I'd definitely say there's this little surf town called Mancora, and it's at the north, and you just get sucked in. It's so fun, and you stay at a hostel there. There's only one hostel.
Yeah,
and everyone go, and you just plan for a few days, but you'll stay there like a week.
Okay, that sounds amazing. And some of your favorite places, Lily?
I've got a few. I love Mexico. Has a very special place to me. Spent a little bit of time working illegally in Greece, which was awesome.
Illegally because you had no visa, or you were doing something illegal?
Yeah, all of the above.
All of the above. No, I didn't have a visa, but the economy at the time, very difficult place to get a visa. Spent a bit of time in Japan, Canada. India is beautiful. My dad used to live there.
Right.
He lives in Istanbul at the moment.
Oh, wow.
Also a beautiful city.
Yeah.
I've got a few different favorites.
Yeah.
I love Japan because the culture is just completely untouched, not whitewashed at all. They just completely held all tradition, which I find amazing because I feel like every other part of the world has some kind of Western influence on it. But yeah, I'd have to say Japan or Mexico.
Yeah.
Have a pretty special place in my heart.
Well, we're going to talk about Mexico a bit later, but so we'll come back to that. But and obviously you've worked doing snowboarding instructing in Whistler and other places as well.
Yeah, between Japan and Whistler were my two favorites.
What's it like when you're somewhere working, but it's such a fun job, I imagine, teaching people.
It's interesting. It's a lifestyle. Like everyone that works, it's a mountain lifestyle. Everyone that works for the mountain, they are there for the same reason, which is they love to ski or snowboard. So everyone has the same energy and the same kind of passion, and you're grinding away at this job, and you know, it's fun, but it has its bad days as well.
Yeah.
You know, you have kids that piss in their boots, and you have all of these different things that you have to put up with. But the early hours, long hours, very physically demanding job. It's cold, it's wet. You have beautiful days where you just ride all day with really good riders. You have days where you don't even get on your board once. But everyone puts up with the grind and the hustle just to be able to live on the mountain and have their backyard be this big, beautiful playground.
Yeah.
And it's really cool to be in a community where everyone loves doing the same thing and they all get together to go riding. And, you know, there's obviously a big drinking culture as well. So you come home from a big day of riding and everyone gets a beer together, and it's just like a big family. Like I love the ski mountain because it's like a family, and nowhere I've ever been before or worked before has that kind of same vibe. I feel like it's just the snow sports that binds everyone together.
Yeah.
Whistler is a really beautiful community because it's very environmentally conscious. Everyone loves where they live. It's so beautiful. So no one wants to do any damage to where they are. So it's, all these beautiful, caring people that love to ski and snowboard and obviously love to party as well. And all of those things are up my alley. So it was great. I loved it.
Is that something that's important to both of you, like sustainability side of travel these days? It's kind of people are getting more conscious of it.
Exactly.
Do you have any thoughts on how to be a more sustainable traveller or anything you're doing yourselves?
Yeah, I feel like it's just leave it how you found it is a big way to look at it. I feel like you don't really see a lot of untouched natural beauty anymore these days. Like you were saying, going hiking Machu Picchu, there's people everywhere and, you know, it's just everything's getting pretty overdone. So whenever I see something beautiful, I like to kind of just leave it how I found it.
Yeah.
Just picking up after yourself, never leaving your garbage, things like that.
Yeah.
That's kind of my motto towards it.
I mean, I kind of agree with you. Actually, it's a really interesting issue though, and I don't know much about it, and I need to be more socially conscious of that actually.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's hard. We've talked about it on the podcast before. You know, when we're in New Zealand, it's so hard because you have to fly to get somewhere. You know, you have to go away,
and planes themselves are.
So terrible.
I mean, how do you offset that? You know, how do you? I don't know.
Well, you can pay to offset your carbon with most airlines these days. So you just pay it. And it's quite a small fee. You'd be quite surprised for, you know, what your
and
flight
it's just
actually
available
costs.
on your ticket when you buy your ticket to offset. Oh, yeah, actually.
And then there's other schemes. So if you didn't do it at the time, you can do it with different schemes. But then, when you're overseas, just kind of being a bit more conscious about how you're traveling, whether you kind of get a train rather than fly between cities or, you know, taking your own water bottle rather than buying plastic or things like that. There are definitely things you can do. Obviously, it's, you know, small steps for everyone, but there's ways around it. Let's talk about love around the world. Where would you say the most handsome or sexy men around the world are? New Zealand or not really?
Interesting.
London and Spain.
Oh, London. Okay.
Yeah.
What about London?
I didn't I massively underrated them when I before I went, and then when I went, I was like, there are so many good-looking gentlemen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
And then-
Shout out to London.
Yeah. And then Spanish guys, I kind of thought there'd be like South American guys. South American guys are quite a bit. They're very good looking, but they're quite little.
Yeah.
But Spanish guys are really tall.
Yeah.
And I was super surprised by that.
Any favourites, Louie?
I lived in LA for a year and a half, and LA is obviously the city of beautiful people.
Yeah.
So I'd say the best looking people I've ever met are in LA.
Yeah.
In my personal
Were they all
opinion.
naturally beautiful though, or lots of plastic surgery kind of beautiful?
Yeah, well, the thing is, it's all models and actors. You get into an Uber and everyone's like, so you're a model or an actor? And it's like, can I be neither? Is that an option here or no? But yeah, everyone is just, it's kind of where all the beautiful people flock. But they usually have massive egos, and there's this big sense of like, look what I do, I can do this. And everyone is just trying to talk over each other and one up each other. And I don't like the attitude that some people in LA have, but they're definitely good to look at. Not to listen to though.
Well, and that brings me to my other question, because last year there was this survey about the sexiest accent for men
New
around the world,
Zealand.
and
I know.
New Zealand won. What do you think about that?
Is that because of what's that Taika Waititi movie? I mean, it's not a Taika, but the
Avengers one?
Yeah. Was that because of that movie?
Maybe.
Oh, I don't know. I thought it was a correlation. What do I think of the New Zealand accent being the sexiest? Well, great.
Take it.
Good score for you.
Yeah, I would definitely take that one. Is it just men?
I think the survey was for men. Yeah.
Like men voting what they think is the
it was
sexiest,
like
or that which
it was-
men have the sexiest accents?
And it
Is
was
it,
New
where's the
Zealanders.
woman? Where's the female?
I don't know. It must have been a different survey.
It was also New Zealand.
Yeah.
I think the English accent
Okay.
is beautiful on men. Do you like that?
Yeah,
Very
like
One
a good
Direction.
British accent. I see what you mean.
Not like to London, like kind of a little bit softer.
Yeah.
I feel.
Okay. Yeah.
Kiwi's fine too.
I don't know. I haven't really thought about that. I don't know. So, because I've heard, you hear good and bad of both.
All of it.
I guess it's
The
all about
person,
your voice
really.
as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
You might have this beautiful Spanish
Yeah.
accent, but have a really awful voice doing it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Very true.
In your career, Lesina, obviously you're a doctor. Do you have any tips for people staying healthy while they travel? Is that anything you can help us with?
It's so hard when you travel, especially like some of how we travel, backpacking and things like that, because routine is really important. I mean, routine is important for, I guess, keeping balance and staying healthy, but you don't often get that. I struggle with that, actually, especially when I work and travel, because I don't know where the local groceries are, and I'm busy and I don't have time to go and get stuff. And so I need to be better at, I think what it would be is organization, and I think planning a little bit, where the places are to eat or where you can get whole foods from, and then kind of planning out what you're going to eat.
Yeah.
So I think the best way to stay healthy would be a little bit of organization. It's really hard to do sometimes. It's speaking
is,
from, and
yeah.
I know, I was just in Australia last week and I didn't eat a single thing that wasn't made in the hospital. It was like burgers and fries because I was so busy and I didn't know where anything was in the area. So I just ate cafeteria food.
Yeah. Do you have any tips, Lily? How do you stay healthy while you travel?
I would say don't drink too much. It's always a good tip. I don't know. I've been pretty good lately. I haven't been getting sick while I've been overseas. I have like an iron stomach.
Okay,
I can
that's
eat
helpful.
anywhere. There can be like a small lady in a kitchen made of cardboard with a cat next to her. She could be putting cat hair in my food and I'd still be fine for some reason. Never had
That's a
food
great
poisoning
skill to
ever
have.
in my whole
So
life. Yeah, I've
good.
never
Yeah.
had
Feel
food
so
poisoning
lucky.
before. So I eat anything. I eat locally. Some people get quite scared of eating at the local restaurants and things. They want to eat at the resorts and things like that. But these people eat like this. They've been eating like this
Yeah.
for, decades. It's fine. They're fine,
Yeah.
So I'm not really scared to eat something new or to eat somewhere that looks a little bit dodgy. In my opinion, the more dodgy it looks, the better it usually tastes. So yeah, I've been quite lucky. I think not drinking too much, trying to get enough sleep, and drinking enough water are kind of my tips. And good water, obviously never drinking smoothies or juices where the ice has been frozen because usually it can be tap water.
Yeah.
The only time I have been sick in Greece one morning, I was really, 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 really hungover, and I was like, I'll just have a small glass of this tap water.
Oh no.
Oh my God, it came out of me so quickly.
Oh no.
Yeah, from not the good way. But that's just the water.
Yeah.
Is a big thing, watching out for the water.
Yeah.
And obviously wearing insect repellent where you need it, making sure you don't get cuts. I'm quite like a bad person to jump off high things when I'm traveling, and I get a lot of scabs. I get a lot of scabs. I get a lot of scabs in Argentina, and they will tend to get infected if you don't keep them dry.
Random bruises.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, keeping your scabs dry, drinking bottled water, and just eating a bit of concrete and toughening up.
They are great tips. Well, let's get on to we're going to do 2 destinations of the week because we've got 2 special guests this week. So let's talk about Portugal first, Lesina.
Yeah.
So now you didn't spend a lot of time there, but it was somewhere you really loved.
It was so underrated, I think. I didn't even plan. I went to Europe and we had all these things on our list and we didn't even have Portugal.
Yeah.
And we had a few days and we were kind of like, why don't we go to Portugal? Random. We turned up in Lisbon and we were just blown away. It was so, and isn't it rated one of the most underrated, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And it's just a hidden gem, isn't it? You've been to Portugal as well. You know, we're not allowed to talk. Sorry.
Who's that lady in the corner that we're talking
Who's a mysterious,
She's not there.
anonymous girl.
No, I've been to Portugal. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah, I went there last year and I loved it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just a vibe. It's so the energy, you can feel the energy when you land.
Yeah.
And the Lisbon itself, how beautiful are all the and tiring, how beautiful and tiring is that town with its, steep hills and all its cascade apartments.
Yeah.
And it's just
So is it Alfama, the district? With the old part of Lisbon.
town.
Yeah, it's really beautiful.
That's a little bit more flat actually.
Yeah.
Alfama, isn't it?
To get up
then
there, it's a bit of a hill. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think.
Down. The whole, and it's just, and everyone's so lively and happy and in the streets at 11 p.m. just not getting wasted, just really like having fun after work. I've never seen that before. That kind of culture. I was so surprised. It's just fun. People just after work go with their friends and everyone just kind of meets on the streets and just has like a good yarn.
Yeah. Did you ride the trams around?
I did. Yeah. We'd get a little bit impatient waiting for them, so we'd just like hike it or walk down. But yeah, the trams isn't that interesting too? Isn't it beautiful?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes a really good photo, doesn't it? A lot of photo opportunities in Lisbon.
I actually didn't even do it. Right.
Did you go outside of Lisbon or were you just there? Yeah.
No,
Okay.
no,
Yeah.
So we flew into Lisbon and then flew out.
Yeah, because Porto, which is like the second biggest city in Portugal, that's really beautiful as well.
Is that? I need to go back.
And I think
really
a
need to
bit
go
less, because obviously Lisbon is not quite as busy as, say, Barcelona or Venice or somewhere like that, but it's still pretty busy. But Porto's a little bit quieter. And
is it?
there's some amazing cities or towns just down the coast. So the Atlantic coast is beautiful. The water's freezing. You wouldn't really want to go swimming in there. But really beautiful little towns and villages. Yeah.
I'm going to definitely have to go back and do Portugal properly. I just didn't even think. Do you know? I didn't think it would be as stunning as it was.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. And Mexico, Lily, that's your destination of the week.
Yeah.
So when did you go there?
So I went there last year. When I was in LA, I broke up with my ex-partner.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And everything happens for a reason, and everything happened. Yeah, you
wouldn't be on the show if you hadn't broken up with
exactly.
your
If I hadn't
partner,
done that serious relationship, I don't think I'd know exactly what I was and wasn't looking for. So it was awesome, but at the time not so awesome. And I went home, and kind of sometimes the way I deal with things is to go traveling. I find it really takes your mind off things and it reminds you that you are like a capable, confident woman to be able to, carry yourself around a part of the world you've never been to by yourself. So I'd never been to Mexico before, but I knew it was just over the border. So I pretty much jumped on my computer, and in the midst of crying and booking and everything, I booked a flight, and then I booked a hostel, and I got my flight the next morning, got to the airport. I was leaving the airport, and some lady from Utah, she grabbed my arm and she was like looking at all my tattoos, and she was asking me questions, and she was like, why are you here? And she was just really friendly. And I was talking to her and I was like, just, a quarter life crisis. It's no big deal. Just going to Mexico for the first time. And she she kind of seemed a little bit confused, and I was like, okay. And she was like, do you want to come on? She had 2 boys behind her 2 sons who were like around my age. One was a little bit older, one was a little bit younger, and they were just so embarrassed, like, Mom, stop talking to this stranger. And she was like, do you want to come on this surf trip with us? And I was like, oh no, it's fine, my hostel is just out of the city and whatever. And she was like, oh, okay, but just take my number just in case, like, if you want to come, it'd be fine. I was kind of like, that was weird, I'm definitely not doing that. Walked out of the airport, and I was like showing the taxi driver where my hostel was, and he was barely spoke any English, but he was like, no ma'am, that's like 5 hours away, your hostel is not here. And I was like, wait, where am I? And he's like, you're in Loreto. And I was like, I have no idea where that is. And in the midst of everything, I booked my hostel and my flight to 2 different cities in Mexico. Yeah, so I was like, I had no idea where I was. And I was like, oh, okay, well, can you just take me to a hotel, like a local hotel? And he was like, yeah, sure. Jumped in the cab. We're driving through this desert. None of the roads are even paved. This is like a tiny little town in Mexico I've flown into. I have no idea where I am. He takes me to this local motel. Everything's just like dust. And I get there, and I don't know if I can say the word crack, but
sure.
It was kind of like a crack den. And then I was like, okay, cool. And he was so excited. The cab driver dropped me off. He's like, have fun, and like left. And I was like, Jesus, where am I? Got a room, walked into my room. The whole back window in the room had been punched out, and there was just cardboard as the window. And I was like, oh my God, this place is seedy. So I was going to the man at reception. I was like, do you have Wi-Fi? He could barely speak English. Got onto this Wi-Fi that had such garbage connection. And yeah, I just realized I was in a desert in the middle of nowhere with no pesos, no phone signal, no nothing. And I was like, wow, this is interesting. So I just called this lady, and I was like, hey, do you mind if I come join you on your surf trip? And she was like, yeah, no, sure, no worries. Where are you? Blah, blah, blah. And it took her about 20 minutes to find me because we're in the middle of nowhere. And they pulled up, and these boys got out of the car. I said to the 2 boys, I was like, hey, you guys, this is kind of weird, but do you mind if I join you on your trip? And everyone was like, yeah, sure, no, jump in. And I jumped in their car. They moved the surfboards around. We drove 2 hours. We picked up this American guy on the way who was in his 30s, and he sat in the car, and he was a friend of the ladies. And he was like, who are you? And I'm like, Lily. He's like, and where'd you come from? And I was like, I don't know. I just met these people at the airport, and now I'm here. And they're like, he's like, we could be serial killers. And I was like, I could be a serial killer.
That's right.
We're all in trouble here. And he just laughed, and he was like, you're ballsy. And we just drove for 5 hours to this tiny little town called Punta Abriojos, and it has 500 people.
Yeah.
Has one tiny little supermarket, no phone signal, no paved roads. It's just this tiny little desert town with a beautiful beach break for surfing. Yeah. And so we came to this shed, me, the 30-year-old, the 2 sons, we were dropped in the shed. This lady from Utah, she went to this like tent by the beach with her 80-year-old boyfriend. And we just slept on the concrete in sleeping bags of this random shed in the middle of the desert. They had dirt bikes, they had surfboards. So every morning we get up, put the dirt bikes on the side of the surfboard, ride through the desert, go for a surf, come back at night, play like Mexican card games with these local guys because the other 30-year-old, he could speak Spanish. We couldn't, picked up a little bit, but we just drink beers all night. Yeah. And I ended up doing that for 10 days straight. And then after that, I got dropped at a local bus stop and caught the bus back to the airport and flew home to LA. And it was just the coolest thing. This lady from Utah, she gave me all these hippie beads, and she was like, believe in yourself and you can do anything and you don't need a man. And I had this big speech and I started crying and we were hugging each other, and it was just the most beautiful thing. And it was so dangerous and so messed up. Yeah. I have never gotten over a breakup quicker because that made me feel so confident. Yeah. And it also made me like, if these people could accept me into their lives and give me so much trust, and I do the same for them, you know, why couldn't my partner do that for me? And, you know, it was very stupid and very dangerous, but a very like needed experience for me.
Yeah, how amazing.
And that was the first time I went to Mexico, and it was supposed to be a shambles, but it turned out to be the most beautiful, unplanned thing that taught me so many lessons. It's crazy.
What a story.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
Sorry, it was long. Really long.
No, I loved it. Did you stay in touch with these people? Or?
Yeah, so I still have the 2 boys on Instagram will message me all the time, and they invite me. One's just leaving school now, and he's invited me to his graduation. He's like, come to Utah, stay with us. This lady, she'll talk to me all the time. Yeah. We message, and yeah, it's strange. It's such a strange relationship, but I loved it. Like, it was interesting. It was just interesting, and I'm so glad I did it.
Yeah.
And these people are still in my life, which is really cool.
And I feel like if things don't work out on the Bachelorette for you, maybe one of these two boys could be your
No,
your backup
they're
plan.
like they were one was like 21 and one was like 23, and that's I don't want to spoil the show, but they're a little bit on the young side for me. I became like their older sister.
Okay.
But yeah, it was good.
Okay. Well, I think in light of that story, we should make our keyword Mexico for the competition, because what a story. So if you want to be in to win a $2,000 House of Travel voucher, you need the keyword Mexico, and you can go to nzherald.co.nz/win, and you'll find all the details for entering there. So that keyword is Mexico. I just want to talk to you guys about your travels for hours, but I feel like you've probably got other things to do. You know, need to go and get ready for some dates.
Yeah,
for
love
the show.
to find.
Cocktail parties.
Got some errands to bash.
Where's next on your list? Where, travel-wise, where do you want to go?
I really want to go to Costa Rica.
Nice. I've been there a couple of years ago. It's amazing.
Beautiful.
Yeah, really beautiful.
Yeah, that's kind of high up on the list.
Yeah, you
or
should definitely
Sri
go there.
Lanka.
I've been there too, and it's amazing.
Yeah, those are two places I haven't been to, and I'm kind of tossing up between which one would be better. But they're
Maybe just
on
go to
opposite
both.
sides. Yeah, just hit two birds with one stone.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, I think I'm going to take about a month off after this show to do some things. So.
Cool. Great. Yeah, you'll love both of them.
Okay,
yeah.
perfect.
What about you, Lesina?
India, Sri Lanka.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm gonna try and hit that this year.
Nice.
Maybe you can go to Sri Lanka
tips.
together.
You heard it here
Take our
first.
boyfriends.
Bachelorettes on top. Maybe it could be a double date with
Yeah.
with the guys that you pick who are. No, not going to tell.
Boyfriend world tour. Yeah, nice.
Amazing. Well, if you're going to plan to go to Sri Lanka at some point, then maybe you'll see Lily and Lesina there as well. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for chatting travel. It's so great to talk to you. And if you want to follow along with Lily and Lesina's journey to find love, The Bachelorette is on TVNZ on Sundays, Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. And
Sometimes Wednesdays, yeah. We're
Yeah.
looking at our publicist and she just doesn't know
I think
what's
it's
going
Monday
on.
to Wednesday every week, and then sometimes Sundays.
Okay.
Oh.
Is that right?
It's Sunday, but
Okay,
sometimes
it's
Wednesday.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
There we go. But watch it, and it's on TVNZ on demand as well. And it's a great show. And you can find out who they pick, or you could just tell us now. No. I tried, guys. Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Please, if you are listening to us, also go to nzherald.co.nz/trip notes to watch video from each episode. You can find us on Facebook. We're NZH Travel, also on Instagram with the same handle. And we'll be back in a fortnight.